Okay, so after a couple of requests from a friend, we're going to talk a little bit about importing NPCs. Now I'm on a blank canvas because the other page that I was on takes a really long time to load. It's a pretty big and complicated map. So we're on a blank page here. It's pretty fast, pretty easy. Should be much smoother than normal. And that's maybe a good suggestion if you got to make a whole bunch of NPCs, keep it on a separate page. This will be done in two videos, so this first video should be pretty short. We're going to be talking about importing an NPC from the Compedium, and there are some issues here as well. That's going to be this red dragon. We're going to call it a young red dragon, so why don't we just get started? So in the mobs section, I'm going to add a character. It's going to get a random name, and I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go to the character sheet, and of course, thankfully it starts off in the settings page, and we know that this is an NPC, and that's going to show up that it is a monster or NPC. He does use spells, so I'm going to click spells. I know that it happens to be a red dragon, but if you don't know, I believe you can always just come back and click that. If it happens to use dual wield and you wanted to create a dual wield attack, as I demonstrated in a previous video, you could do that. You could click there. If you wanted to display advanced roll time macros, if you wanted to add things like flanking or power attack macros, you could do that here as well. Don't worry about this section for now. It's going to all reset to whisper once I parse the monster. And for the most part, we're done here. So let's close that off. And of course, the first thing we're going to get is this monster stat block import. Now, if you know anything about this character sheet, um, you know that it's just simply a matter of finding a red dragon, and in our case, a young red dragon, grabbing the name, dragging it, waiting for the sheet to go to yellow, and releasing. And everything is filled out. Everything here is filled out. And that's basically it. You can go ahead and check, make sure everything's to your liking, examine its spells, examine its CL, what its caster like levels are, all that kind of stuff, right? Pretty easy. And then you're just going to hit the parse. Now, before we do anything, take a note here. This CL 11th, this is CL 1st. Keep a note here because in the next video when I import a character, this is going to be a little bit different, just slightly, and we're going to see if that works. All right, so all right, everything looks good. We're just going to go ahead and parse. And of course, this parsing takes a while. The bigger the character, the more complicated the character, the longer that parsing time is. But otherwise, we seem to be pretty good. Hit points seem to have rolled correctly. Hit points seem to have rolled correctly. The attacks seem to be working properly. There you go. Oops, let's do this. No, we'll keep it open. That's fine. The attacks seem to be working well. You notice that it's all being whispered to me. If I wanted to go back and change that, I could. Setting whisper. You've noticed that everything now is changed to GM whisper. That seems to be some kind of a default action that happens when you parse. We'll leave it because I don't want my players to see a whole bunch of spam and think something weird is going on. All right, otherwise we're pretty good. Now, everything seems to be good with the attacks until we come down and we hit this section. And what's going on? This is all really weird. So here's where we kind of hit our first snag. You're going to notice two things. Number one, that none of this seems to be right. We know that its CL was 11. We could probably manually increase this. In fact, that's probably the best thing to do is to increase that to CL 11. Actually, let's not touch anything because there's a couple of things I want to check before we do that. And we might even select the ability, and we notice, among other things, so that's not been selected. The CL's at 1, doesn't make any sense. We know that it's CL 11, right? And if you look, none of this information here has been filled out, right? So it's a bit of a problem. If we spam that, you get this kind of weird entry, range pick, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't really tell us anything. So this is kind of where the NPC input, or rather the importing through the Compedium kind of seems to fail. We'd have to go here and manually drag and drop a spell in. Let's do shield. Let's do two of them. Let's do shield. Let's do true strike. And let's do mage hand as well. Why not? All right, so we can see all this. At least now, this stuff has been filled in, right? Good thing. Now when I go to spam it, at least if nothing else, it shows all of this stuff. The only real issue that I see here is that the CL is 1. So, all things considered, I think all you have to simply do is increase the caster level here to 11. And let's select its counts as a sorcerer, apparently, so we'll add that. And that'll be charisma. And that's all done. All right. And hopefully that's it. I mean, if you look here, right now the caster level check, plus 11, right? Plus 10. Up here it's only showing us a plus 1. Concentration roll showing up as well. No particular bonus apparently for this creature. True strike, same thing, it's showing up, right? Cast level roll 10 is a 10. Equals charisma plus, I'm not sure how that works total. Oh, concentration check. Is there not an actual roll for that? I don't figure there would be an actual roll. If I roll a concentration check. 10 plus 0 plus 10. I don't know, seems to be a problem here. Yeah, so there's a little bit something weird going on, something fucky going on with this concentration check. CL check seems to be... Oh, CL check's not working either. Interesting. Okay. So, if you're not going to be worried too much about these things, which, given that this is a spellcast, you probably do want to worry about these things, you can kind of leave it here. Obviously, spells tend to complicate things. Let's do a little bit of investigation, shall we? Let's go over here. Let's go to the spells section. And the first thing you're going to notice is that we don't have a class sync. This seems to have moved in properly, but we're not sure where the sorcerer came from. It wasn't something that we put in. And we can assume that this base caster level came maybe from the from when we changed the CL on the NPC page all the way back here, right? We did change this, so we did change it, but nothing else seems to be working. And if I roll it from here, oh, here we go. That's interesting. So from here, these seem to work. Let's go back here. Does it work from here? Nope. So it's not working from this NPC sheet for some reason, but at least we know that from the spell sheet it seems to work without having done anything, without changing a single thing here. That seems to have worked properly. Okay, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. So let's check the functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to close that. We're going to go and associate that with this character. So it is a young red dragon. All right, we're going to do all the standard things that I would do. So that's in that first bar, it's going to be HP. Let that update. In the second bar, it's going to be armor class. And in the third bar, it's going to be it's the creature's land speed. Although of course you could choose whatever speed you wanted, or whatever values you wanted here, speed modified. Those are just the three that I choose as standard. If it had had a fear aura or something, we could do that as well. All right, that's saved. We'll go back here. We'll edit, use selected token, and ta-da, we're done. All right, it's all associated with that character now. We can close that down, and let's see. First thing first, let's check the spell book. Let's do a caster level check. Oh, lo and behold, look, that's working. All right, so that's a good thing. Concentration check, also working. Oh, it's weird that showed this this NPC spellbook showed that shouldn't be showing to the players. So if you notice that that's in blue, it's not whispering to the GM. So my players may be a bit confused by that. All right, we'll fix that later. But that seems to be working, so that's a good thing, right? And then things like shield, it's working, and it's Well, if nothing else, at least it's rolling it's rolling the caster level check properly. Concentration, for some reason, not showing. I'm not sure why that's what that even is meant to signify. All right, either way, we're not going to worry too much about it, right? True strike's working. Mage hand was working. Right, looks good. All right, so that's it. You're basically done here. You should be able to go ahead and just go ahead and use this character. So once again, to reiterate, when we go back to this character sheet, mostly it's just drag and drop. The only thing that you're gonna have to do when putting in the spells, because the spells, the only thing that this will do is add add the names of the spells. Is that you're gonna have to come in and manually just drag and drop the spells in there. It's all the way over here. Spell-like abilities are listed below. All right, and that's all the way near the bottom. You can include the tactics and things like that if you want. I usually don't find a particular need, but you notice that everything here seems to be working okay. All right, CMB rolls working fine. All right, that's it. Skills are also working. All right, bluff. You notice that all these values have been input properly, and we can now surmise that really there's no necessary. It's not particularly necessary for us to oh no, never mind. That's going to be something we're going to be talking about next video. All right, so that's it. A little bit rambly, but that's how all these things tend to go. All right, and look forward to the next video, or look forward in dread to the next video.